All right, folks, we are back here for season two, Rubitracks After Dark. Kicked this thing off last year. I'm Nick Bailey, and we've got Scott Profit with Rubitracks.
Hi,
How
Nick.
are you, Scott?
Good, Nick. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Yeah, good to see you again. Looking forward to another great season out on the snow and all new things to come and knowledge here on Red, Rubitracks After Dark.
Season two.
So what's the latest with the Ruby Shack? I know you've been doing those steering upgrades and working out a couple little kinks, right? With that, I saw that tranny cooler deal that you posted today, and I've never was that a factory Dodge thing?
Yeah, I don't really understand exactly what it's for. I think it might be a cold climate edition.
Must
So
be,
it because it
right?
it cycles through that, and then it goes out through a small radiator up in the front, and then back to the transmission. So
Gotcha. And no thermostatic valve or anything. They're just all in series.
I honestly couldn't tell you. It just looks like it's series to me, but it's there's half an inch of grease on everything under there, so I haven't really gotten big in yet.
Nice.
So.
Well, and I guess in the track world, one of the big developments on my side is that the Forerunner is no longer or the Snow Runner, right? No longer
Mhm.
my primary rig. So probably by the time we do this season two, episode two of Red, I'll have a little announcement for everybody and be able to show them what'll be. Does this be the second season on mountains, I guess?
Yeah, so I didn't realize this. We didn't pre-discuss this. This is top secret what you got in the works, is it?
Yeah, yeah. So there'll be a little demo, like I say, for the next episode. But for now, it's still not finalized. We're getting close, but I've got a gnarly bit of travel in the next 10 days. Flying to San Diego. I've got to go and visit a job site that is in the desert in Southern California. So that's
Wow.
covering some miles there, back to San Diego on an airplane, out to the East Coast, pick up this new vehicle, drive it up to Crandon. My wife and I are heading to the, I guess it's the finals, but it's the last big short course race of the year. Is
Hmm.
every Labor Day weekend in Crandon, Wisconsin. She's got to be back sooner, so we'll drive to Minneapolis at the end of the event, put her on an airplane, and then I'll be driving the new rig home.
Wow. That sounds like a lot of fun. That's almost like a roadkill adventure, but not with an old piece of shit.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, something a little more reliable.
Yeah.
So, in talking with this guy, the guy that I'm buying the truck from, he was
Hmm.
turns out kind of a follower. He'd been interested in Ruby Tracks for a while. Was
Oh,
asking me a bunch of
awesome.
questions. Yeah, he's in one of those zones, kind of in the Northeast. You're familiar with how the weather's
Hmm.
been and how it's changed over the course of your lifetime. He's in one of those areas where he's like, man, I'd always wish I could run something like that. It's just a little hard to justify where he lives because there's not quite as much snow, not like it used to be. But it was a good segue for he and I as we were developing our relationship because I reminded him that that's one of the best parts about Ruby Tracks is as a conversion, you're getting a set of tracks that redefines your entire vehicle. Um,
Yeah.
and if you have a bad year, I mean, shoot, we had bad years out here too. There were a couple of years when we moved here where we would get a foot, 2 feet of snow in a whole winter. So
Wow. Yeah. Like, let's hope this whole what did they call it? Climate change has peaked and it's heading in the other direction now.
yeah, so out here, at least what I've heard from my sources on the West Coast, they're talking about kind of a mild La Nina setup. So cooler waters in the equatorial Pacific. Usually that's good for the Northwest. And we're in Tahoe, we're kind of right in the middle, right? If you look at a map of the US,
Mm.
we're kind of right on the dividing line from north to south. So it's kind of even odds of being good or a little bit below average for us. But
Right.
Colorado, the Northern Rockies, right? Wyoming, Montana,
Hmm.
Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington could be in for a good one. As far as an additional bit of forward-looking information, we've got on the table potentially some alternate locations for the Ruby Tracks Invitational Round Three could
Yeah.
wind up being a good year to look out and see what other options we might have.
That's right, right? And we go where the snow is, right? So
Heck yeah.
we spoke about this a little bit, you and I, over the summer, and it'll be interesting to see now how the winter progresses. Obviously, we'll have to play it by ear. We can't make any commitments right now, but as the time gets
Absolutely.
closer, we'll have some more info.
No doubt. Not to mention, we'll be looking forward to having by that time, since the invitational typically kind of at the end of our season, right? It's a
Hmm.
late winter, early spring type time frame. The cool thing about that is it gives us the opportunity to, engage some new faces.
Yes.
We've only had two events, but each time we've been mixing it up. There's been a couple people that have been, maybe three or four parties have been to both.
Hmm.
However, we've added a significant number, and if folks either didn't hear or don't recall, last year I think we had six or seven U.S. states and three Canadian provinces that were represented. So we'll be looking
Absolutely.
to grow those numbers and go where the snow goes.
That's right. Yeah, last year was fantastic. I didn't expect, and you and I probably a couple weeks prior, we weren't even sure ourselves, who was all going to show up. Nobody really fully committed until the final days. So, but it turned out to be a fantastic event. We had what?
Yeah, I bet at peak it was a dozen because a couple people came late, a couple people left early. But if you count
Hmm.
overall head count through the event, I bet you it was 12.
So if we get to venture out now, are you going to be okay with this? Well, you call it hero snow where you're at, but are you going to be able to survive in anything other than hero snow?
Oh yeah, I think a lot of the base principles, right? You and I have talked about a lot. Um, the things that have made my vehicle successful as an over snow vehicle, a lot of those basic points kind of carry through regardless of the snow conditions. It could certainly get to a point where we're all just kind of shit out of luck, right? You wind up in
That's right.
some really deep powder, and there's a reason that some of the cats out there, are 16 feet wide and have tracks that are 4 feet wide. I mean, even with this new vehicle change, I'm going to be working hard to try to keep that overall weight really close to where the Forerunner was, and a
Hmm.
little bit more modern vehicle with some more power. Those things always offset. There are certain, you and I know, there's certain snow conditions where actually having the traction, having a little more weight winds up being a benefit. It all depends, like in on the season. If there is a layer down there that supports that vehicle's weight and it's a little bit harder, you want to be able to get down to that and engage it.
Hmm.
If it's 5 or 6 feet that all came relatively uniformly and it's all sugar snow, pretty much anybody's shit out of luck. That's when the snowmobile guys even are digging.
Speaking of that, now you and I have been speaking a little bit about what's to come to address some of this sugar snow. Um, we've been running what we call the mountains now, and there might be a variation of that for different types of snow conditions.
Absolutely. And whether it's this is the first episode of Rubitracks After Dark that you've seen, or if you've been following along for a while,
Hmm.
one of the greatest things about Rubitracks being a small company, everything is a trade-off in life, right? But Rubitracks is small from top to bottom, right? You get the ability to kind of experiment.
Hmm.
We've seen that in the last couple of years, right, with the development of the mountain track,
Yeah.
the success of the mountain track, and then gathering feedback. I think we had of the I won't put you on the spot as far as the exact number, but I'm going to say there was five or six sets of mountain tracks in the wild last year, and probably all but one of those made it to our event uh, at the Ruby Tracks Invitational. And because we cast a large net, they were coming from all different parts of the continent. We
Hmm.
were able to kind of get feedback on the snow we had versus what people are dealing with at home, and all of that information is a direct link into the man behind the scenes that's putting all this stuff together. So the ability to adapt and to look at potential new offerings is really cool. That moves quickly.
And that's the beauty of having something like the Invitational, Nick. Like I'm on the east coast of Canada, right, and we're on the edge of the Atlantic Ocean, so the snow comes in generally wet and heavy, but not frequently, right? So to be able to actually, have an event like the Invitational, for instance, takes me to a new geography and a completely new climate with you can allude to this in a second, but you have a saying that you say the Inuits have How many different words for snow?
Yeah, hundreds or 800, just tons.
Yeah, like I mean, the snow is different, and I didn't fully appreciate that. Here I am building tracks for snow, and I didn't fully appreciate all the different consistencies of snow. And I probably there's still lots of different consistencies out there that we haven't touched on yet, but it's a challenge, I suppose, to communicate that to the customer who doesn't get to experiment in different parts of the continent, let's say.
Totally.
So you know, their perspective is there's only one kind of snow, so we got to try and address everybody's issues with one
Yeah.
product.
Yeah. And that ties back into your question about, if we're changing locations and how am I
Hmm.
going to fare or how do I think it's going to go? So, just based on sheer quantity, we get so much snowfall here that we have powder days that rival the powder that I've seen anywhere. I lived in Utah for years. I've lived in Colorado for more than a decade. I've been here
Okay.
in Tahoe now for going on 13 years. So it's what you usually get is Sierra cement because we kind of have
Hmm.
that maritime influence as well, as the crow flies, right? Not far from the Pacific, we'll get storms that are just so big and consolidated. They bring the weather with them. So when they're
Right.
wet, a lot of times the storms are warm and the snow comes down real heavy. But like I said, because we have so many snow events and we typically get so much, there have been times. The last I can remember specifically was December of 21. We had a couple nice cold patterns that came down, and just in that 1 month, I think we had almost 20 feet of snow in the at the snow lab here, Central Sierra Snow Lab in
Wow.
Tahoe. So. Um, yeah, but it brought all sorts in a month. It brought all sorts of different types, and we had big powder dumps and um, you know, as you know, I run a couple tracked ATVs too. I've got a big Can-Am 1000 on their backcountry track. It's a third of a PSI ground pressure, zero point 0.3. It's
Wow.
wicked. 90 horsepower. I mean, that thing is an animal. And going out in those conditions, the front rack sits almost 4 feet off the ground, and the snow is just flowing over it like water. It's just,
Wow.
it's amazing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it provides a really good test. So you cast that big net, like you say, you get the folks from all over. Um, and specifically, we've done a lot of research in this zone thanks to the Invitational over the last couple
Hmm.
of years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the more we learn, the more we can share, and we can take that knowledge back to your shop and keep these, products moving in a direction that is applicable to the most number of users.
And that's the beauty of our shop right now. And not to say that it's going to be like this forever, but you know, if you were to walk around my shop, it's basically a prototyping shop, right? We're technically not really a factory by any means, or more of a niche product manufacturing facility. So when we want to change something, it's kind of not very difficult. You know, we don't want to build 100 different versions of something because it's just not efficient. But being small like this gives us the opportunity to really you know, push the limits, I guess, and experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I wanted to hit on is because it's been a significant shift since last year, but I know Rubitracks has stepped up and joined as a sponsor a couple
Hmm.
organizations. So kind of in this region, but that serve different communities. So the Lake Tahoe
Absolutely.
Snowmobilers, my company, Avalanche Technical Services, we've been a sponsor of them for the last few years. Rubitracks joined this last off season, and that membership is carrying on. So,
Hmm.
anybody that is a snowmobiler in this area, and a lot of folks, the cool thing about snowmobilers is they're used to chasing snow and they're used to traveling. So you get a lot of that community spread, right?
Yeah.
Folks that I know down here will run over to Idaho or Colorado, depending on conditions. And likewise, when it's going off here, you've got guys that are coming, guys and girls that are coming to ride. So it's really cool to see, to be able to spread the word, share that with folks. The Lake Tahoe snowmobilers, they've got an organized ride at least once a month, all through the snowmobile season. That's
Nice.
typically 6 or 7 events around here. And every chance that I get, right, I like to bring a vehicle down there on Ruby Tracks, and even folks that are in so close to the market. They're in the industry, they're riding snowmobiles, they're seeing a lot of these parts all the time. It's always cool to see their face and get to show them what Ruby Tracks are capable of. So
And it'd be interesting now to see how you perform now, this secret vehicle, the secret weapon that you've got. We've not put tracks on anything like it before, so it's going to be a first, and it's going to be cool to see what it can do.
absolutely, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
And then that's a good segue into the other sponsorship that's also close to my heart with the Wheel and Wine and Whiskey podcast. So
Yeah.
you had an opportunity to meet Jason at the
Hmm.
Ruby Tracks Invitational Part Due right here back in April, and
Yeah.
he's awesome. He's a hell of a guy. He and Chris have that really cool off road podcast, and I was excited to see you guys get together for their title sponsorship.
No, it's fantastic. We want to support the community, Nick. Like, not only the American community, which is, the American is the majority, but when we can narrow down and support the local community as well. Like our goal here, as you know, is not just to sell tracks, it's to build, communities of like-minded people so that, we can enjoy this sport together. It's not just about driving over snow. It's about everything. It's about camaraderie. It's about having a good time, and it's about appreciating the nature, I guess.
Yeah, and being able to, as this thing grows and there's more and more people, folks are, used to trails or certain off-roading areas that are getting closed down.
Hmm.
It's always nice to be able to kind of extend your season, extend the opportunities, the places that you can go, and the things that you
Hmm.
can do.
Yeah.
And that's how this whole Rubitrax adventure started for me, right? It was something that I could buy that became an asset, one of my company assets, and enabled me to extend my services past a point where they had been before. Same thing happened here in Tahoe with Upcountry Towing, right?
Yeah.
They added a set of mountain tracks to one of the vehicles that they use for wintertime recoveries. And all of a sudden, we're able to provide an oversnow vehicle, get into areas where no matter what the conditions are in the wintertime, tires aren't allowed. I mean, that it's really cool. That's what it's all about, right? You're not adding a whole nother machine, some other thing that you need to buy and store and maintain. That was just a really good example of the Ruby Track solution and how it is adjustable to a lot of different scenarios.
And not only that, Nick, you just mentioned like things like trail closures, right? There's one thing about tracks that isn't fully appreciated is there's actually two things about tracks that isn't fully appreciated. One is you cannot tell in springtime where a track vehicle has driven, right? We have basically zero ground disturbance
Sure.
with our sport. Okay, if that's not enough for you, convince you, then we also have no mud to wash off when we get home.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? Like
Yeah,
it's the cleanest. I believe it's the cleanest off road activity that you can engage in with a gasoline powered vehicle
for sure.
because it just melts, right? So no, I think in the future, as you said, like the environmental impact of some of these other activities is going to come under fire if it hasn't already, and hopefully we can give people a new avenue to get out there and engage in the outdoors with a powered vehicle without risk of causing damage or hopefully being the target of someone who wants to shut it down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was another great reason to form that alliance and get synced up with the Lake Tahoe snowmobilers because they're big advocates. Every Forest Service meeting that is held out here for over snow vehicles, uh, those guys now are going to bat on our behalf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here locally to me, the Tahoe National Forest had a new oversnow vehicle use plan that came out last year. And for the first time ever, it had kind of targeted specific track converted vehicles. But come to find out, those guys had a lot of firsthand knowledge with me being around. Some of the other folks that are here local, Dimitri down there in Sacramento from Stellar Build,
Right.
um, Tyler Larson. We've got a few that are here in the neighborhood, and yeah, so they were able to come to my support when I was stating our case as far as you take a vehicle like this, compared to a snowmobile, it's relatively low horsepower to weight ratio, and
Mm-hmm.
so when it goes out into these areas, like it's not doing any more resource damage than your run of the mill over snow vehicles, the stuff that everyone is familiar with and comfortable with.
Right.
So that's been really cool to see. And then take that research base and the knowledge and the discussions that we've had and share it, like with Kyle Campbell there at a BC, help
Yeah.
him with some of the discussions that are going on in his neck of the woods as well.
Let's hope that we can continue to spread that wealth of information across the country and perhaps across both countries.
Yeah, sounds good. The looking forward to this coming season. I don't know if you've squeezed in any time or if that's even your thing. If the old timers out there are talking about what kind of winter y'all might have. I know my sources typically are not talking about PEI.
Yeah, that's right. Now we got to go into the woods and look and see where the bee nests are.
Ah,
That's
well,
how it works around here.
all right. So that's your homework then. By the time we're back together here, I want to know where the bee nests are and what that means.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, good deal. So that wraps us up for tonight. Looking forward to the season. Looking forward to the next one. Sure, appreciate your
Absolutely.
time as always, Scott, bringing this thing together. And
Absolutely, Nick.
yeah, we will pray for snow.
Good talking to you, Nick.
Yeah, you as always, bud.
You bet. Bye
See
bye.
ya.